Hi everyone, and welcome back. In this video, we're going a little bit deeper into the chakras, and we're doing one at a time. So we're starting with the foot chakra.
Yes, we're going to start with the foot chakra and work our way up. That's how we're going to do it. So today's topic is the foot chakra. We're just going to get a little more in depth. We're going to go over where the location is. So with the foot chakra, location is the upper thighs. So essentially about right there, right below the root chakra. A lot of systems don't include the foot chakra in it. A lot of them only include 7. My system, I include 10 in mine. Foot chakra is very important. It's the path. It represents the path that you're on, the pathway that you're going on, and staying on your path and working your path. That's what the energy of the foot chakra is really all about. It corresponds and works with a couple of nerve plexuses and a particular endocrine gland. The nerve plexuses that it works with would be the auric plexus and the Meissner's plexus, which each have to do with digestion and elimination. And as we know, the planetary association with the foot chakra is Uranus. So when we're talking about Uranus, we're talking about elimination, because Uranus likes to eliminate things. It's awareness, it's awakening, but when it awakens you to things that you need to get rid of, so that Pluto can come in afterward and transform everything. We knew it, or even in some cases give rebirth to things in your life. Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 nerve plexuses that deal with it. They're located actually in the intestine walls and in the intestines themselves. So they're not like the other ones that form huge clusters in the spine. These are a little different. But if you're having digestion problems, again, it's a good time to work on the foot chakra energy and the planet Uranus. It's a good time to look it up in your chart. Where is Uranus? What sign is it in? What house is it in? All of those are going to open you up and tell you things that you need to know. The endocrine gland is the parathyroid. There are 2 glands that are actually on the thyroid. Okay. And like all other endocrine glands, they release hormones, which is essentially what they do.
Right.
Okay. And the hormones that the parathyroid releases, they control calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D levels in the bloodstream. Okay. That's what they're for. With people that are just starting to work chakra energy, work this, all of this energy, this is not a time to start trying to release or control the releasement of hormones in your body. That can cause serious problems.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. It can damage you physically.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any of that happening. So it's good to have an understanding of what this energy is. But again, if you're having issues in these areas, always get medical advice before you're just like, oh no, I'm just going to go totally holistic or metaphysical on everything. Spiritual is great, but you need to back it up with medical opinions and people that have medical knowledge. Okay. Now, again, let's go to the planet. We're going to go back to Uranus. Now, Uranus generally rules, and I say that generally because they're generational planets, so they move really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're called generational planets mainly because as they're moving around the zodiac, it takes them so long to actually move through a sign that it affects an entire generation of people.
Right. And we're talking about the 3 outer planets.
Yes, right. We're talking about Uranus, we're talking about Neptune and Pluto.
Okay.
Yes, those are your generationals. So when we say generationally rules, that's what we're talking about. Okay. The personal rulers are planets that are closer to the sun, and they move quicker. So they can be different for each person, essentially.
Okay.
In a chart, like everybody in my generation, our Uranus signs are going to be the same. Our Neptune signs are going to be the same. Our Pluto signs are going to be the same. And it's just because of how slow it moves through the signs. So that's the difference between personal rulerships and general rulerships. However, Uranus does have more to do with Aquarius than Saturn does. Even though Saturn is a personal ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn has more to do with Capricorn. Uranus has more to do with Aquarius. So it's more air-centered. And again, the awakening, the awareness makes sense for that. It enjoys individuality and freedom, okay, and creative interaction. It loves creative interaction, but that is Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uranus is also good for detachment because of its association with Aquarius. So turning empathy into sympathy, Uranus is a good one. Is a good planet to focus that through.
I think that again plays into the elimination aspect also.
Yes, in eliminating things. Yeah, detach from it, let it go, let it move out and go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, with awareness and awakening, though, Uranus and your foot chakra energy is nothing to be ignored. Because if you ignore it, it's going to happen anyway. So it's going to pull the rug out from underneath your feet, and then it can become very traumatic. Okay, but whatever it's trying to awaken you to and bring into your awareness is happening, is going to happen, whether you want it to or not.
Mm.
Okay, so especially when you're talking about your path, make sure that you're still following your path. And sometimes in life our paths move, shift, change a bit. And again, Uranus is the planet that's going to bring that into focus. Okay? And you're going to feel it in your foot chakra.
Okay.
That's where it's going to come through for you. It's in your foot chakra. And again, to understand the behavior, you need to find your animal totem for that particular chakra. You need it. It's going to tell you how that energy behaves. So it gives you clues into what that energy is doing, how it's doing it, more so than what it is, but how it's going to do it.
Okay.
Okay. So somebody, let's say, that has like a rabbit in their foot chakra. Okay. What does that mean? Well, rabbits are a sign of fertility, number one. So things prosper, build, create. That's what a part of that path is going to be like. It's going to be, it's going to have to do with creating things, building things. Now, another weird thing about rabbits is that when you have rabbit energy, because they hop, it usually means that when things start happening as far as path work, it's going to happen in more than one direction, or more than one part of your life. So spiritually, you may be moving this way, and your career is probably going to move, and your home life is going to do the same thing, because essentially that's leaps and bounds is kind of how rabbits are looked at, because they hop along and do their thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're also a prey.
Animal.
Yeah, they're a prey animal, and not predatory. So they're not going to be overly aggressive. They're going to be more cautious in their behavior when walking the path, which isn't a problem. Which is not a problem at all. Sometimes you can be a little overly aggressive if you have a predator animal in certain chakras, and you don't want to be. Okay, especially when you're delving into path work. Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing that you need to be extra careful of if you have like a rabbit, so to speak, is that you're moving everything at the same speed. You're not just focusing on just one area. Okay, and a lot of the times, all of your areas are going to tie together. Okay? So when you are moving this way, okay, and if you just focus on the spiritual, not everything's going to come to fruition. Things are going to get a little frustrating. Things will get a little stagnant. Because, well, at the same time, as you're moving spiritually, your career needs to move in the same direction as that. So your spirituality will be tied into your career. Your home life is going to be tied into your spirituality and your career. All of these things are going to start interplaying together.
Okay.
So that's when you want to, again, go look at your chart. Where is Uranus? Where is your foot chakra? That's going to start telling you essentially, where your path work is going to open up. And that's where you need to focus that energy on. Okay? Now, some positive keywords for Uranus: freedom, original, reform, change, innovation, and inventive. Okay? The energy is all of that. Okay? Negative aspects, if you're dealing with rebellion, destruction, being eccentric, unpredictable, irresponsible, dysfunctional, and unrealistic. Now, when you have words like eccentric in a negative list, not all eccentricity is bad. It just means overly eccentric, to the point where nobody can understand you, that type of thing. You don't want to be too original. Okay? But Uranus is also where you're going to be unique. Okay? And again, your path is going to be unique to you. Even though people can share a path, it's still going to be individual to each person on that path.
Right.
And what their particular purpose on that path is. Okay. The negative aspects, they're going to pop up too. It's good to understand them and know where that energy is coming from, so that you know, okay, this is what I need to start focusing on. Why is this happening? Why am I feeling rebellion? Why is it going this way? Why am I focusing it this way instead of where, in a more positive way, where I should be? Okay. House it resides in, it's where new ideas and theories develop. Okay. As far as path work goes.
Okay.
Because in life, we all have that. And again, we all have these awakenings. We all have this awareness of, oh, yes.
Right.
Okay. And at the same time, there will be people that try to either regulate your path, okay, or dissuade you from traveling your path. Uranus is is against all of that. Just because somebody thinks you should be doing something doesn't mean that that's the way you should be doing it. Okay, and more than not, it's not that they are going to dissuade you off your path. They think that you should do it the way that it works for everybody else. And unfortunately, again, with Uranus, that's not the case. With Uranus, you're looking at, it has to be unique to the individual working the path.
Right.
And even though everybody may be telling you, no, that's not how it works. This is how everybody does this. Because it's your foot chakra and because of the connection to Uranus, it means that you're right in the way you need to work it, and they are giving you bad advice. And it's usually not because their intention is to give you good advice, but they're not getting it.
Right.
That your path has to be unique to you and doesn't have to make sense to anybody but yourself. Okay? All right.
Okay. Well, here's a question for you. Going back to the idea of Uranus pulling the rug out from under you if you fight or ignore it.
Right.
Does that lend itself kind of to the idea of the dark night of the soul?
Depends on what you mean by that.
Okay. Well, it's I guess I've heard different people describe it as just a struggle while your awakening is happening. It's a struggle to have that awakening.
It can be, but that's essentially when you're talking about, like you were saying, the dark night of the soul. Having a struggle trying to come into awareness or awakening to a new part of your path, that kind of a thing. It can be. There are times, though, where that's going to be more aspect-driven. Squares, semi-squares, oppositions in a chart that are going to put a challenge in front of you that you have to break through in order to get someplace.
Okay. That actually makes much more sense now.
It can have something to do with Uranus, for things that are aspecting Uranus, other planets and things. But that can have to do with all the other planets also. Some things, Uranus may throw things in your way, so to speak, like you're talking about. Like throwing dark stuff or kind of pushing you towards what would seem like more of a dark path. To get you familiarized with the energy So that, like, if let's say you get into banishments or things of that nature, paranormal investigations, so that you get more comfortable with understanding and really experiencing that energy, so that when you go into a situation, you're not caught off guard. There's no surprise. It's like, I've been here, I've done this. Okay, and it can do that. But the thing is, usually there's some sort of a need there, and that can bring us into, because we've talked about the subject before, destinies and fate. Okay, you could be fated for doing something of that nature. Okay, you're fated for working light, but having to understand the dark, and you pick a destiny, so to speak. So, let's say you're fated to work in the spiritual realm, and you're like, okay, my destiny, I want to do paranormal investigations, and I want to do banishments or exorcisms or something of that nature, and help people. You can't go in it blind. You can't go in it naive, or bad things are going to happen.
Right.
If you don't understand how the dark works, your banishments aren't going to go well, because you're going to be wholly unprepared when you walk in to the situation. It's going to catch you off guard. And things aren't black and white in that world. There's so much deception coming from the dark side. Okay, and the dark side is very attractive in certain aspects. All those desires.
Right, yeah.
You know,
it's the addictive aspect.
Well, sure. You've got, pride,
alluring,
lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, envy. Wrath when you get upset about things.
Right.
Anybody who drives understands that one. Road rage a little bit.
Right.
Okay. It can be attractive. It can suck you right in. The problem is that understanding it, knowing it, and then allowing it to control you. You can't allow that stuff to control you. So even though you need to be aware of it and awaken to the fact that yes, it's here and it's around and this is how it works, you can't get sucked in so far that you start to mimic it, because that can happen too, unfortunately. And the dark aspects can, again, they're so deceptive that they have a way of kind of pushing you through there and doing horrible things that don't seem horrible when you're doing them, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And there are a lot of things that come to mind when you come up with that. Not even, so super, not like really bad dark stuff, but even just like, cheating. Somebody who cheats in a relationship and then regrets it later. When they were doing it, that's what I mean. That's that attractiveness to it. No, it's something new. Where I'm at is stale and stagnant, and someone's paying attention to me, and blah 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 blah.
That's the excitement and the rush.
Right.
Yeah.
And then of course, that darkness will also start feeding you with excuses. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's all right. And then once it's done, it's done. And it's like, oh boy, do I regret this. And all of a sudden, you're divorced. It's like, well, that's not what what happened? How'd that even happen? And that's the deceptiveness that most people miss. And a lot of that is very subtle deceptiveness. It's not like in your face. I'm what was his name? The Robert, the one that sold his soul to the devil to learn how to play the guitar.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Robert Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the story with him at the crossroads, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's in your face.
The first
crossroads. Hey, I'm the devil. I'm doing this. Here you go. Boom. The other stuff is really deceptive, and it's very subtle to the point where it's like, well, you deserve this, almost type of a thing. And we all are prone to, unfortunately, having those issues come up, because we're all human and we get both sides playing us, so to speak. And I don't really want to say playing us, but it's almost like a chess game, and we're the pieces in regard to things. Except these pieces have free will. So when someone's making a move, we can go no.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Either way.
Right.
Good or bad.
Right.
Where whoever's trying to play is like, Right? So, again, that's what we want to do. But we also want to remember that the foot chakra, okay, the main energy that we're talking about, even though there's some earth in there, there's Capricorn, is air, okay? Awareness and awakening and the Uranus aspect of it is air for the foot chakra. Okay? It's processing, it's intelligence, it's communication, okay? It's relationships, intuition, ideas, theory, we talked about that, logic, intellect, okay? It's very social energy and it's objective. It can be too objective. It can completely cut off emotion. Because Aquarius has the ability to do that too. Oof, and almost turn it sociopathic. And you don't want to go there with it.
Right.
Okay? You still have to let emotion in. It's just it's a way to be able to detach from that empathy that comes through and turn it into sympathy. But you have to turn it into sympathy and not just kill the empathy.
Right.
And then you don't empathize with anything. It's like, no, let's not go there. So again, at its most fundamental, it's agility and its velocity. That's air at its fundamental one-dimensional powers, so to speak. Okay, it's two-dimensional powers. It's moist and it's hot. Okay. Some of the keywords for it, the positive keywords, again, you said ideas, intellect, objective, rational, conceptualism. It's chatty, it's divisive, it's perspective, it's intuitive, it's about communication, okay? And it's about dreams. It's not the cause of the dream. It's the dream itself. The cause of the dream is water.
Interesting. Okay.
The process of dreaming is air. The sensitivity to the energy of a dream is water. The feeling, the emotion, the process of going through the dream and having the dream is air. So that can be a little strange too. Okay. It's also about divination. The energy is very divine and divinely inspired. Okay. But divination again is a process of communicating with higher energy.
Right.
Celestials, things of that. Negative aspects of air. Unrealistic dreams. It can be cold. It can be, I am intellectually superior to you. Ha 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 ha. I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than everybody.
Right.
That's Aquarius gone amok. It's irrational, veiled concepts. It's impractical, unreasonable. Again, detached, which is not always a bad thing, but it can go that way real quick if not kept in check.
Right.
Okay? It can be very vain, stuck up, and very unemotional. Okay. All of those, again, you're going to get through not just your foot chakra, but any chakra dealing with a lot of air energy.
Right.
Okay. And but those are things that you're going to want to look for. Look for the negative aspects. Once you get them, how do you know if that air energy has to do with your foot chakra? Is it interfering with the path you're on and your path work? If not, we're looking at another chakra to work on. If it's path work and where you're going, then yes. Now it's time to look at the foot chakra and how we're working the foot chakra. And again, looking back at your chart, understanding the house it's in is where it's going to play out. The sign that it's in, okay? What's playing out? And Uranus, because we know is the planet associated with it, is how it's playing out. And that's where you want to start looking. Okay? And then again, going back to, I think I brought it up and then we got on something else, was fate.
Yes.
Right. And again, fate you don't control. Fate has nothing to do with will at all. You're fated for this. Okay. And fate is broad. It's a very broad spectrum. And then you have destinies within the fate. Destinies are the ones you can pick. That's why I don't like the word predestined. If there was a word like prefated, I would love it. But predestined I don't like.
Right.
Because destinies are our choice.
Well, and
you choose your destiny.
That makes sense because you don't have just one during your life either. We get the word destination kind of from from the same root as destiny.
Yes.
So your destiny is not a one-time arrival.
Right. Right.
It's a series of paths that you choose to take.
Sure. No, I get you on that. Yeah, and it's true. Because again, your path is going to take you to a destination.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. And your destinations are going to change as you grow. And as you make different choices in life, and this choice in life, and that choice in life.
Right.
It all determines where you're going, what you're doing. So people who, well, one of the big ones, let's say somebody who sobers up. Oh, destiny just completely changed. Your destination changed because everything changes when you do that.
Right.
Okay? And I don't mean getting dry. Getting dry means you just stopped. Sobering up means that you are looking in and changing the cause and not just stopping the symptom. You're going to the root and you're fixing things. And as you do that, you're going to make different choices. Those different choices are going to put you on a completely different path than you were before. Okay? And again, alcoholism, addiction, that's another one of those dark things that comes through. And it starts off very subtle.
Right.
And before you know it, it's got its hooks in you and it's no longer subtle, but it's so hard to get out of at that point. It's like being in a hole and trying to figure out, how am I getting out of here now? You've dug this huge hole, and where's the ladder? Mm-hmm. Is there a ladder? Did I put a ladder in here? And it's like, well, maybe I did. Maybe I can get out. And it's like, maybe I can't, and maybe I need to go to a meeting. Or somebody with people who can throw a ladder down at me and go, hey, here's the ladder you need to climb to get out of this.
Right.
And we can help you. That kind of thing. So, destinies are great, but you have to be careful when you're choosing your destiny. And you have to have an end point, and you have to understand what your fate is. Because you don't want to choose a destiny that has nothing to do with what you're fated for. Or it won't work.
Mm.
Your fate is essentially, it's your feminine, it's your potentials. It's everything that you could be. And then, when you look at your destinies, that are the choices you're going to make to get there. The ideas you're going to come up with are going to be the air aspects, and then how you go about choosing them, and what you choose. Okay, and what you're willing them to do, that's going to be more your fire.
Okay, so for someone that's more kind of familiar with like a religious terminology, it would almost be like your calling would be your fate, where you're ending up going in the end.
I think that somebody's calling could be a factor of both working together.
Okay.
When somebody says, this is my calling. Because a lot of times people's callings change as they go through life. Your fate won't, and that's the difference. But if you take you're calling out broad enough, I think that could definitely be fate.
Okay.
But I think calling the word, I think, can be associated with both.
Kind of combination of both. Okay.
Well, I was called to be a priest. It's like, well, that's not your fate.
Right.
Your fate was spiritual, and your destiny was choosing to be a minister, as opposed to like a shaman or something else.
Okay.
That kind of
thing. That's kind of where I was going, because we had sat down and when I started my journey.
Right.
Talking about different things.
So let's say part of your fate is every time you're around animals, they're just there. Even ones that are aggressive. You walk in and, oh, what are you talking about? This dog's awesome. What do you mean? And everywhere you go, it's like that. Okay, that's more fate. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to do anything with that? That's part of fate. It doesn't mean that you have to be a veterinarian. It doesn't mean that you have to do this, but it's going to be a factor in your life. You're going to be able to do that with people. When you go to people's homes, their animals are going to come to you. As if you're fated that way. You didn't choose it.
Right.
It just happens. Because you have that that potential is there, and it's attracting. It's pulling things up. Things are receptive to it. Animals, essentially, and they'll come to you. You know, I've known quite a few people like that, and it's like, wow, that's really cool. And then I know people that have nothing like that. People who like animals. I want to be a vet tech, and it's like, well, animals don't like you. You know, that's going to be a problem,
right?
Because they, you know, that's just doesn't seem to be. You don't seem to be fated for that, man. Pick something out. You know, choose a different path. Those type of things, and that's what I mean by broad.
Mm-hmm.
They can. I mean, fate is broad. Destinies are not, and people can see and be like, wow, you know, I see you writing a book. And you go back to the Vader thing. You know, it is your destiny. I have foreseen it. Blah 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 blah. Okay, someone trying to choose a destiny for somebody else, and convincing them that this is the right way to go. You know, it's the same type of thing. But that's what I mean when I mean two people can be on the same path, but it has to be unique to each individual one. And a lot of people, because they're not, what's the word I'm looking for, confident about their path that they're on, will try to increase their confidence by trying to convince other people to take their path.
Okay.
And that happens a lot too. You know, it happens in religions a lot.
I was gonna say we've come across that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You know, believe the way I do or die. I mean, you know, when you go way back, it's okay. Geez. You know, okay, fine, I will. You know, and that generally doesn't work for most people.
Right.
Because it's a coercion tactic to get them in there, and that is a matter of faith. Your faith is not somebody else's faith. It's kind of the same thing. Somebody's faith is destiny. Somebody's religion is more like a faith.
Okay.
And when I say, well, I shouldn't even say religion. Somebody's spirituality, I'd say that. Are you, because I mean, when we talk about religion, Catholicism is a religion, but Christianity can also be considered a religion. Christianity is much more broad. That would be the faith aspect. It doesn't mean that you have to be a Catholic or you have to be a Methodist or you have to be anything. It just means, you know, that you're drawn. You've got this potential that has been woken up, and you're drawn to Christianity. Where in Christianity is your choice? That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there's a fine line between fate and destiny. But fate you have no choice in. Destinies you do. So we'll just get that one out of the way. But yeah, so I hate predestined. I hate the word predestined because I don't actually think it exists.
No, it ultimately doesn't. Like we were talking about with the destinies and your destiny, your path changing.
Right.
It's not a one-time destination.
No, it's not.
You know, it doesn't make sense for you to be, quote unquote, predestined for something.
Right.
Because once you get there, you're not done yet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. You know, and what happens when you reach it?
Right.
If it's a choice, you just pick another destination and go. You completed this one, you go to that one. You move on. You learn and you grow. And sometimes you're on a path and you go, whoa, I don't think this is the right path for me.
Right.
You course correct. And again, that's just destiny. You know, fate. It's harder to do that when you're talking about fate because fate comes in and does weird things to keep you fated for what you're fated for.
Right.
Where a destiny you can change. Fate keeps coming in and doing things to make you stay within it. That's the difference, for the most part.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, back to the foot chakra.
Yeah. Back to the foot chakra. Okay. We got through air.
We haven't talked about the angels yet, though.
No, the angels for the chakra, because it is all about the chakras. You know, the foot chakras. I mean, we talk a lot about Uranus, but it's the foot chakra that we're talking about. Okay, as far as the chakra goes, we go to the Zoroastrian. Okay, the Zoroastrians have angels that are only over chakras. They're not planetary involved, not anything else other than chakra energy. And the one that we talk about for the foot chakra is Barman. Okay. Okay. Persian cosmology we get into now for Barman. Great angel placed over all the animals on earth except man. He's also chief of 30 angels appointed to preside over the 30 days of the month. And he's part of what's called a grouping of angels called the Amish Mentis. And that's the angel that's over the foot chakra. So when you first start working the foot chakra, that's the angel you want to work with. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's an angel over Uranus, you don't want to go there. Because then you're dealing with planetary energy also.
Right.
Which you don't want. That's not the point. You need to understand the chakra energy first. Then you move to the planets after you understand the chakras. That's going to give you the energy of not how the chakra energy is focused, but what the chakra energy really is. That's what Barman's all about. The angel over Uranus is going to give you how that energy is being focused. And that's the difference. So you don't want to work with that angel first.
Right, okay.
Then it's more focused on Uranus, and it has nothing and what it's ruling and how it's focusing energy as opposed to what the energy is that's being focused. Mm-hmm. And that's where Barman comes in. Okay. The color association is brown for the foot chakra. If you think about, because there's pictures all over the place of chakra or aura energy. Bands of color surrounding the aura, and they go from inner to outer, and a lot of them just end there. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, no, because your energy, that field expands. It's not the foot chakra that expands it, it's the crown, but it expands out. But each of those colors are associated with particular chakras, and each of those chakras have a purpose. Mm-hmm. The foot chakra's purpose is to feel any variance within the field. Anything that breaks it. That's what it does. It doesn't care what it is. Okay. It doesn't care how it feels. It doesn't care how it's expressing. It doesn't care how it's interacting. Nothing. It's just something broke. Hello. Takes that information, sends it to Saturn. Saturn starts to analyze it and organize it so they can send it up to the throat chakra and Gemini. So that would be the root chakra anyway, sorry. And then goes to Mercury up at the throat chakra. Okay, Mercury through Gemini and Virgo actually disseminates the energy. And when it does that, it sends it to whatever chakra that energy needs to go to after it's been organized first. Then it comes up and goes. If it's something that needs to be dealt with right now, it bypasses that whole thing and goes right to the heart.
Right.
And the heart will release what it needs to release and send that energy where it needs to, so that if there's a speeding car coming at you, you don't have time for Saturn to do its thing and Mercury to do its thing and then tell you, get out of the way. The heart's going to go, move! And you move.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, it's that immediate, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the foot chakra is concerned, brown is the color and the energy, okay, and the frequency that is just there to say, hey, there's variance in the field. Something broken. Don't care what it is, but there's something in my field that wasn't there 2 seconds ago. Okay? And again, that's also related to Uranus, because Uranus is variance, individuality. Okay? Any variance in the field.
Okay.
Ooh, something unique happened. Pop. Okay, cool. That's what it does. And that's a major thing to think about. Okay, because it does that. it's like the first thing that needs to happen.
Mm.
You know, it is it's that foundation. Okay. Essentially.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
The root grounds it, but the foot feels it and says, "Whoa," and becomes aware of it. That's the most important part. It's an awareness and it's an awakening. Hey, something broke through the steel, and you became aware of it. Oh, what? Okay. What the hell? Kind of thing. Okay, physical functions of the foot chakra. Okay, stem cells from bone marrow. Okay, life energy, and it's about elimination of waste and infections from the body.
Okay.
That's what it wants to do. And it's not just digestion, it's sweat. It's any way that we eliminate things from the body.
Mm.
Breathing out, all that good stuff. Okay, that's all foot chakra energy when we're doing those things. Psychological functions, okay? It is the IQ. Everybody's got an IQ. Foot chakra is over.
Okay.
Okay. It's also self-determination. Again, individuality. The ability to process information logically. Detach.
That's that air
and process.
Air aspect, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And it's that Aquarian aspect of detachment.
Right.
Gemini doesn't have to process logically. It can just process. Aquarius has to process logically. It has to make sense. It's got to be the Vulcan thing, the Spock thing, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Spiritual functions. Okay. The foot chakra is over intuition, destinies, telepathy, precognition. Okay. So, intuition is a process. Most people get this wrong. They think that intuition is absorption, and it's not. That's psychic ability. That's water. We're talking about what happens after you absorb it. Intuition it's the intuitive process that you go through to understand what you've just absorbed. That's intuition.
Okay.
Destinies, those ideas, those new ideas of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, new theories for where you're going. That is under the is under the foot chakra. Okay. Telepathy is that. Telepathy is a hard one because it sounds really cool, but when you think about it, it's not the coolest thing. Think about all of the worst things that have ever gone through your mind. Do you really want to know that about people you know, your friends? Do you really want to? Because it's going to change the way you view them, and you can't unknow it once you know it. So if you're ever going to work telepathy, you have to understand boundaries before you even start, and you have to understand how to put up your own defenses and walls as to, okay, I don't mind understanding this, but I don't need to understand that. Because I don't want to know that. Because people think about the craziest stuff all the time. And it's not all good. I mean, just think about some of the thoughts you've had. You know, it's not all good. It's like, I don't want people to know I just talk about that. Why do I even think about that? I don't know why. You know, but half the time we don't. It's not like it wasn't intentional. It just popped in there and you're like, ah, what's that? Jeez. Okay,
Right,
so
yeah,
telepathy,
absolutely.
it's a skill that can be learned, but again, you have to really ask yourself, do I want to learn this or not? Because the reality and the fantasy are completely different. The fantasy is Professor X, you know. The reality is like Hannibal Lecter, right?
Right.
You know, I don't want to even go there. Okay. So those are all different functions of the foot chakra. Okay. And one of the best ways to start working the foot chakra energy is, again, understanding the color brown and just feeling out for variance in the auric field. And that usually requires partner work.
Okay.
And creating boundaries for the field. And understanding where they are. You want to create them more contained at first, and then slowly expand them out. But you're not going to be able to expand them out until you work the crown chakra with Jupiter, things of that nature. So, brown in itself, the energy is approachable, it's honest, it's genuine, it's sincere. It's usually friendly. Okay. Negative aspects are, it can be very materialistic, it can be overly prudent and depressive. Okay. So, when you're feeling depressed, that's foot chakra problem. Okay. That's where you want to go with it. There are other water issues that can make people feel depressed too. So it's not always, oh my God, this is all going to be my foot chakra. It can go to other chakras, but you want to start with the foot. Especially if it has to do with your path. And that's what we're talking about. I don't like where I'm going, I don't like where I'm at. Something's missing, I don't feel right, I don't feel connected. Why? What's happening? Foot chakra. You need to start working on your foot chakra.
Okay.
And again, your foot chakra also has to do with Capricorn, so there's grounding there. There's function. Okay? And again, your path is how you function. You can't function if you're on the wrong path. You can't function properly. So if you're not functioning properly, if your life isn't functioning properly, you need to start looking at your foot chakra and the path you're on, and say what's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then again, through that work Uranus and become aware of what it is, and let Uranus come in and try to awaken you to what you need to do to alter it.
Right.
And get you back on it. And that's really where you need to go with that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Color exercises, work on brown. See it, feel it, work it, understand it, feel its boundaries, and then expand them.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
So that's foot chakra.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I don't think there's much of anything else to cover with the foot, so.
No. Except, when working the foot chakra, try to connect with Barman.
Mm-hmm.
Celestially. It's hard to work any energy without connecting to a celestial with it. It's unbelievably hard.
Right. All right.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us. We do look forward to seeing you next time. And remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.